86% of the time historically. This is so special. A little NBA Today, NBA Countdown crossover. Bob Myers, Michael Wilbon, Josh Hart. I'm going to start with you, Bob, because you've been on both sides of the 2-0 series lead, taking advantage and winning a championship, losing that lead in historic fashion.
Don't remind him.
Yeah, we won't talk about
the Dallas Mavericks. Let's look at glass half full here. The Dallas Mavericks. This felt like a game they could have and should have won. So what do they need to do to get back in this series?
I mean, I would go with, I don't want to be critical of your wording, Malika, but maybe could have more than should have. I possibly, I don't know if they gave it away. Sometimes you say you should have won a game. You'd say, well, you blew it.
No, it's more like if Luka
had an opportunity.
Triple-double, 30-point triple-double.
They had an opportunity mostly because of the Celtics' shooting woes. They just didn't shoot well. In one way, you could say, and you heard Jason Kidd say as well after the game, we had it. We had a shot. We were in this game. Much better than what you could say after the first game. But at the same time, you're down 2-0. And I tell you what, you can't say that after Game 3. You can't say that after Game 3 has to be a win.
Whenever the Boston Celtics lose a playoff game the last 4 years, don't we start by asking, what happened with Jason Tatum?
Yeah.
Isn't that always the default question? So does that make it fair to ask of the Dallas Mavericks, well, okay, what about Kyrie Irving? We know this has been a tag team we've talked about all postseason. They have two closers. They have the best backcourt. They have these two guys who can do. Okay, we're not seeing two guys who can do.
And I feel like the whole narrative the whole year was Kyrie and his leadership. Kyrie going out there setting the tone.
Absolutely,
and that's something that, he hasn't done, and that's something that they need him to do.
It was 4 teams and 7 years ago that we saw Kyrie Irving on this stage in these finals. You played him plenty this year in those 4 finals. Does he look different to you now?
In these 2 games, he's a better player than we've seen here. Yeah. This is different. I mean, he might have, every player has 1 game, but I'm a little surprised that Kyrie's had 2 games where you just didn't feel him as much. That's the thing. Whether you shoot well or not, that's part of winning or playing well. But breaking down the defense, right? He getting to the rim, finishing. He's one of the best finishers.
He didn't do it until late.
Yeah, and I guess, look, again, I don't know how much that is this Celtics defense or if it's not running and getting – Kyrie's fantastic on the break.
Yeah.
How many fast break opportunities has he had?
He was 4 for 5 to start the game.
Yep.
And look what happened. He didn't get going again until late in the fourth quarter when it was essentially too late, even though they made it close. I don't believe that Kyrie is so different from last week that he can't still get a step on even those – look, the Celtics have so many people they can throw at you who are just terrific defensively, from Holiday to White to Brown. And they all take their turns on Kyrie. Yeah. I still don't believe – I'm not convinced yet, Bob, that Kyrie Irving – can't deal with those guys and win some advantages, win enough of those one-on-one, even in ISO battles.
But I think he's out of mulligans now, right?
Yes,
he's had 2.
Yes,
he can't have any more.
The next one, you got to cash in.
Get going.
He has to go out there. And the biggest thing with him scoring is the way he scores. And, guarding him, you know how demoralizing it is sometimes when you're out there and you're locking up. He has 3 between the legs, a spin, and a lefty floater. It's not just – how many points he scores, it's the way he scores and how loud it is, especially in Dallas. So that's something that they're going to need because they need him.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on the NBA Countdown crew. You will see these 2 gentlemen in Dallas. Josh Hart, it's been such a pleasure to have you join us.
Josh.
You're welcome back anytime.
Y'all, it was great having Josh Hart with the Countdown crew. His teammate Jalen Brunson also enjoyed his presence on the set, saying, "Quit your day job. You have found your calling, Josh Hart."
He's definitely better at what he's doing now than what he does on the court.
Really? Come on.
I got you.
You're crazy. It's now time for Step Back, brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. And although it feels like the Mavs may have missed an opportunity last night, the Celtics still got the job done. And do you remember this, Richard? 2 years ago, former Celtics coach Ime Udoka challenged Jason Tatum to be more of a playmaker, and that has come to fruition in his first 2 games. Look at this number right here. Actually, first, I want to show you the breakdown, because if you see this, watch the ball rotation. He's going to attack, and he sees the paint, Richard.
No, it was impressive. In Game 1, he had 5 assists and 6 turnovers.
Ooh.
This game, look, he sees the attention, draws it in, finds a corner 3. He has 12 assists and just 3 turnovers. That is huge.
I mean, this is as good of a shot as you can get. This is the NBA Finals. You're not supposed to be that open.
Yeah, and we talk about Luka, he had 11 assists, but he also had 8 turnovers. So the efficiency in which he's passing the ball, this is what's next level. And look, Jrue Holiday.
Raw two, nice cutter.
This is why Jrue Holiday was able to get good shots, because their best player, in my opinion, has been moving the ball whenever he sees space and his teammates are cutting around him.
And this is the number that I was looking for. 12 assists is the second most of Jason Tatum's playoff career. But it wasn't just JT getting it done. Mike Breen and JJ Redick had this conversation last night about Jrue Holiday and Derek White being one of the best defensive backcourts ever. And I think they may have a point. So as we look at the tape again, Richard, get back over here. This is quintessential defense. You remember when we were kids and we put the cones down and it's like, slide those puppies? Ooh. Look at the shifty nature of Kyrie's ball handle, but more importantly, the shifty nature of Jrue Holiday's defense.
Well, this is what's crazy is Jrue Holiday has outplayed Kyrie Irving. There is zero situation, and a lot of it starts on the defensive end. But if you look at their offensive numbers,
a tough shot by Luka.
It's not even close, and that's what makes them so difficult. They have elite defenders across the board.
You're never supposed to pick up the ball right after half court.
No, P.J. Washington picked up that ball because he wanted none of Jrue Holiday. So he picked it up and tried to get it back, but then all of a sudden a deflection. So all of that, P.J. Washington knew. He didn't want that mess, and then the ball gets back to him.
Precisely. Jrue Holiday has 38 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists, and this many turnovers through games 1 and 2 of the NBA Finals. The last player with at least 38 points and 0 turnovers in game 1 and 2. Do you know who that is, Richard?
If you're on the same
You're
list,
cheating. You're looking at it.
Heck yeah, I'm looking. I can read.
It's Michael Jordan. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. ESPN Bet is the only place to find exclusive offers from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities. Download today. Now, sticking with the Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis exited the game after this play in the fourth quarter. Remember, he missed 10 games prior to game 1 in the finals due to a right soleus injury. He spoke after the game on his status.
Not difficult at all. I'll die out there, you know, if we need. So I just kept going, but obviously I was a little bit limited. So smart thing was to get Al back in there and finish and close out the game.
So how important is Kristaps Porzingis' future being healthy for the Boston Celtics?
Well, they also have more of a room for error. They have a margin for error now when you're talking about Kristaps Porzingis. He is important. We see the floor spacing. We see the shot blocking ability. Him being out there also takes some of the bigs away from the rim. There are a lot of different things that he brings, but I stand by. Can they win this without him? 100% they can, especially with a 2-0 lead. Do they? In my opinion, are they better or even more unbeatable with them, especially playing at this level? Yes. So I think that they can approach it with caution. They're not planning on playing him multiple minutes. And the big key, there's multiple days between each game. It's not every other day. There's 2 days in between. So you're allowed to rest, get off your feet, and get rehab. So I think he's going to be just fine.
I've got an interesting take on this. Are you ready, Richard?
I'm listening.
I think that the most important Celtic actually is going to revolve. It's not going to be one guy, Jason Tatum. It's not going to be one guy, Jaylen Brown. I think they are built, they are designed for it to be different people at different moments. The wild thing is that their top 2 players not necessarily have had the most important impact on those first 2 games. The way that for game 1, who was it?
It was Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, ball.
Game 2, Jrue Holiday that swayed them towards winning. And now game 3, now you've bought time for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to maybe have a huge game. I want to bring in Austin Rivers back into this conversation, actually in a moment after the break, because we looked at those numbers right there.
Sure.
Do you think that the Dallas Mavericks are able to withstand the fact that the Celtics' top 2 guys have not yet performed to the best of their ability?
Well, they don't have to. That's the beautiful thing is that in my opinion, right, when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, they had opportunities. Doesn't mean that they were going to win. That means they had opportunities. Now they have to go back and protect home court. They can't lose game 3, but they're going to need their stars to play better. But the difficulty with the Celtics is that on any given night, they have 5 guys that can beat you. That is the issue. And then they have bench depth. So you don't know who it is. You can't key in on one player or 2 players and come up with a scheme to stop them. You have to balance out that attack. And when you do, somebody else hurts you.
Richard, I'm going to go there. Do you know who else had opportunities today?
Who?
The Los Angeles Lakers.
Ooh.
What happened to theirs?